So why is Steven Seagal so unlikable? Here's the thing. People often ask me, like, are you a fan of Seagal or do you hate him? Like, what's going on? I don't get it. I don't get your love-hate thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to clarify it really quick before I get into the video. I personally can separate the two. There's Steven Seagal, the actor, and there's Steven Seagal, the person.
You know?
Steven Seagal as a person, I think he's a douchebag, he's a terrible person.
You are an asshole.
Not an admirable person. When I was younger, when I was a kid, when I first saw his movies, I thought he was amazing. Listening to his interviews, hearing about what other people had to say about him, and it took me a while because for a while I was just like many people in the comment section who tell me, oh, you're just a hater, you know, you just don't know anything about Steven Seagal. And as years passed on and I started hearing more interviews, like, well, I don't think people are lying. This seems like it's true.
Listen to me, I'm serious. I think you better shut up now, you know what I'm saying?
But you start realizing a pattern of what type of person he is. And there's many people I can think of who are very much like him.
You are fake news.
Sir.
I like the movies that he's done in the early days, in the late 80s, early 90s. I enjoy those movies. The later movies I enjoy as comedies, you know, as unintentional comedies.
You're a funny motherfucker too, man.
These are the reasons why I think he is very unlikable. Number one, he lies. There's a lot of lies that Steven Seagal has said over the years. You know, I can write a whole book just mentioning all of his lies. The first one that comes to mind is him saying that he's a police officer. He's not. He was just grandfathered in by the Louisiana Police Department. He was grandfathered in because of all the help he's done. He taught a little bit of Aikido here and there, and he rode along with them. People in the comment section who tell me in other videos, like, you're just being a hater, you know, he actually is a police officer. There's actually proof that he is one. No, he's a reserve officer. That's, you know, an honorary badge that you give to someone. It's no different than a civilian. There's other lies, like him saying that he knew Bruce Lee, that, you know, he'll change it back and forth saying, oh, I was very good friends with him, and then in other interviews he'll say, I sort of knew him. He was friends with James Coburn, and he used to go to his house and spar with him, and Bruce Lee was there. Thing is that if you look at the timeline, it doesn't make much sense.
Open a school here in Los Angeles.
I guess about 3 years ago, I met Steve Seagal. We became very fast, close friends ever since then. And he's one of the few masters I've ever met, and to be a master at such a young age is very fortunate for all of us because he can bring his gifts, technique, talent, and his great life force to us.
One thing is that Bruce Lee died in 1973. Steven Seagal didn't meet James Coburn until like the 1980s. He didn't know him before then. So by then, Bruce Lee was already dead. So that's a lie. And there's many other lies that he said. It's just, you can continue on and on and on. Like he said he dueled someone to the death. The only proof that there is was his wife at the time said he threw out some drunks that were around in the area, but he didn't fight anyone to the death. His story of saying that he owned a dojo. He didn't own the dojo. He was married to a Japanese woman, and his father-in-law was the owner of that dojo. And he worked in the dojo, but he didn't own it. So he likes to exaggerate certain things. The other thing is that he's very arrogant. He's not humble. He'll say in interviews that I'm just a simple country boy, you know, I'm very Zen, you know, very Buddha. But then he'll do things like Michael J. White talking about how Steven Seagal hits stuntmen. I believe it. I believe it because it's not just Michael J. White who said it. It's also Stephen Lambert. It's also other actors. Jen Leguizamo was hit by Steven Seagal on the set of Executive Decision. They were doing rehearsals and he came out of nowhere and just soccer punched him and threw him against a wall. You don't do that. That's messed up. The fact that he hasn't had a lawsuit against him shocks me. Also, he's a manipulator. You can tell he's the type of person who knows what to say and when to say it, you know? Like, there's stories of him that one of the first dojos he opened here in the US once he left Japan, money came from his second wife, because he was still, I believe, married to his first wife in Japan. And he used that money to open up a dojo, only for him to later meet his third wife, who was Kelly LeBrock, who he worked on Hard to Kill, and she also helped him promote his career. So the guy knows how to use people for his advantage. The same thing with the Gambino crime family, Michael Ovlitz, all these people. He knows what to say. And he also used stories about saying that he was a CIA operative, that he was also in the Navy SEALs, and all of those stories are not true. One of the famous stories I can think of was the CIA guy, this actually was true, the CIA guy, he did an interview for a spy magazine in 2003, and he spoke about how Seagal lived in his own fantasy world. And other people in the Navy have said that they've heard him say stories that they've told, and he just repeats it as if he was a person who actually was there when it happened. And the last thing is that he has many allegations towards him. You know, there's so many different actresses who have spoken up and said that Seagal is a creep.
Actresses Regina Simons and Fabiola Dottis say Steven Seagal sexually assaulted them both as teenagers.
You've been very much caught up in all the allegations of sexual harassment. You had a rape allegation against you, and I wonder how you deal with all that. Hello, Steven Seagal.
I know a lot of Steven Seagal defenders are going to say, oh no, these are just allegations, you're just hating on him, you don't really know the full story. These are just people who want to destroy his career. Believe me, his career has already been destroyed, and the person who destroyed his career is himself, honestly. There's a video that I just posted up talking about how Steven Seagal, actually, believe it or not, this is true, he denied a 7-picture movie deal with Warner Brothers. And he could have continued his career, but because of his ego, he wanted more money, he thought he could find a better deal elsewhere. And instead ended up doing a lot of direct-to-video movies for Sony Pictures, and eventually Voltage Pictures and his own company, Steamroller. So those are the reasons why he's unlikable. So I'm the type of person that can separate the two. I can enjoy his movies. You know, most of the time I'm just laughing and I'm cringing too. So that's why Steven Seagal is very unlikable. Anyway guys, see you next time. Bye.